The encounter. The battlefield was quiet, but the silence was heavy. Smoke rose from the broken machines that once roared with fire. The human soldier walked slowly, his boots pressing against the ashes of war. His name was Captain Elias, a man who had fought in too many battles. The sun was low, painting the ruins with a dying red glow. He had seen victory before, he had seen defeat before, but today felt different. Elias stopped, his ears catching a faint sound. It was not the whistle of wind, not the crack of metal cooling. It was softer, weaker, like a sob. He raised his weapon and turned towards the sound. Behind the broken walls of a collapsed tower, he found her. The alien woman sat there, knees pulled close, her face hidden behind silver hair. Her skin was pale blue, streaked with dust and scratches. Her armor was broken, half hanging from her shoulder. She trembled as if her body carried too much weight. When her eyes lifted, Elias froze. They were silver, glowing faintly even in the shadows. And then with a trembling voice she whispered, "So beautiful, Dad." The words cut through the silence like lightning. Elias lowered his weapon, confusion washing over him. He was no father, and she was no human child. Yet her voice carried such pain, such longing that it struck his heart. Her tears rolled down, shining in the dust. She looked at him as if she saw not a soldier, but something else, something she had been searching for, something she had lost long ago. "Who are you?" Elias asked, his voice low, careful. The alien woman shook her head. Covering her face, shame clung to her like chains. "I should not be seen," she whispered. "I am broken, I am nothing." Her words were heavy, dripping with despair. Elias took one step closer, his instincts torn between caution and compassion. Around them the battlefield groaned, metal shifting under heat. The air smelled of smoke and blood. Elias knew he should move on, report back, finish his duty. But something in her voice rooted him to the ground. Her calling him Dad still echoed in his mind. It was not a mistake, it was a cry from a wounded soul. The alien woman tried to hide her face again, but Elias could see the scars across her cheek. Not scars from war alone, but from a deeper wound. "Shame," she whispered again, this time with more trembling. "So beautiful, Dad. But not me, never me." Her silver eyes turned away as more tears fell. Elias knelt down, placing his weapon aside. He had fought enemies across the stars, but this did not feel like an enemy. This felt like a secret, something fragile, something broken. "Why do you cry?" he asked gently. Her body shook as if his kindness cut her more than cruelty ever could. "I was told," she said, her voice cracking. "I was told I was shame to my family, shame to my people." Her fingers dug into her knees, holding herself tightly. "They said my face carried weakness. My heart carried failure. And when I fought, I could not win when I spoke. I could not lead. I was told beauty belongs to others. Not to me." The words spilled like broken glass. Each one cut deeper into the air between them. Elias felt the ache of something familiar. He had seen soldiers cry like this, not because of wounds, but because of the weight inside their souls. He did not know her name, he did not know her story, but he knew what it was to carry shame. The alien woman's hands shook as she lifted them away from her face. Her silver eyes glistened with despair. "Then I saw you," she whispered, and the word slipped out. She looked at him with trembling lips. "You looked at me without hate, without disgust. And I thought, just for a moment, I thought, Dad?" Elias felt his chest tighten. He had no daughter, he had no family left. War had taken everything from him, but here in the ruins, a stranger called him father, and in her tears, he saw a truth too raw to deny. The silence stretched, filled only by the crackling of fire around them. The alien woman's shame turned to tears, and her tears turned to trembling hope. For the first time, Elias realized this battle was not about land or victory or orders. It was about one broken soul reaching for another. And though he did not yet know what role he would play, he knew the story was only beginning. The shame revealed, the night fell over the ruins, the fires fading into weak embers. Elias sat near the alien woman, his weapon close but untouched. She had stopped crying, but her body still trembled with every breath. The battlefield around them was silent, yet inside her a storm raged. She tried to hide her face behind her long silver hair, but Elias could see the scars running across her cheek and neck. They were not just wounds from war, they were wounds from judgment. Every scar looked like a mark of someone else's cruelty. She did not need to tell him, he could already guess. Her people had given her these marks. Not her enemies, why do you cover yourself? Elias asked, his voice steady. The alien woman flinched as if the question itself was a knife. I am not worthy to be seen, she whispered. Her words broke into the air like glass shattering. They told me my face was a disgrace, my presence a shadow, my existence an error. Elias felt anger stir in his chest. He had seen commanders break soldiers with words sharper than blades. But to hear it from her lips, spoken with such pain, made him clench his fists. No one decides your worth but you, he said firmly. Yet she shook her head, silver eyes clouded with disbelief. You do not understand, she murmured. I was born into a family of power, leaders of my people. My father's voice was law, his eyes sharper than any weapon. And when he looked at me, he saw failure, not a daughter. Her voice cracked, but she forced herself to continue. When I could not fight as strong, when I could not speak as bold, he told me I was shame. The memory cut into her words like poison. Tears returned to her silver eyes, spilling onto the dirt. They said beauty was strength, and I had none. They said honor was won by victory, and I lost. They said my blood carried pride, but mine carried weakness. I became their burden, their broken piece. Elias listened, his jaw tight, his hands steady. Every word she spoke carried the weight of chains. He could see it in her trembling shoulders. She had not only been rejected by her people, she had been buried alive under the mountain of their expectations. And so, she whispered, her voice falling to a breath. I began to hide my face. She pulled at her silver hair, dragging it across her scars. I thought if they did not see me, I could not shame them more. Her words were like ashes. Empty but burning, Elias leaned forward, his voice calm but strong. You called me Dad, he reminded her softly. Her body stiffened and shame painted her face again. I should not have, she said quickly. It was weakness, a slip. But Elias shook his head. No, it was not weakness, he told her. It was the voice of your soul, reaching for what it needed most. Her silver eyes widened, filled with disbelief. For a long moment she stared at him as if trying to find a lie in his words. But Elias did not lie. His face was carved by war and truth. She felt a warmth inside her chest, small, fragile, but alive. The silence stretched again, broken only by the crackle of burning metal in the distance. The alien woman's shame still clung to her. But in Elias's words, she felt something new, something she had never known. It was not pity, it was not scorn. It was recognition, a hand reaching into the darkness to pull her out. Her lips trembled as she whispered, Why are you not disgusted by me? Elias answered without hesitation, Because I see a warrior, not a disgrace. She blinked, confused. A warrior? Yes, Elias said. You survived where others would fall. You carry pain, but you still breathe. That is strength. The alien woman's tears returned, but this time they were different. They carried not only shame, but something brighter. She touched the scar on her cheek as if seeing it differently for the first time. Strength, she repeated softly, tasting the word as if it was new. Her silver eyes lifted to meet his, shining through her tears. Elias nodded, his voice quiet. Your people may not see it, but I do. The firelight reflected against his scarred face. For the first time in her life, she felt the weight of her shame begin to loosen. It did not vanish, but it cracked, just enough for hope to slip through. The alien woman leaned back against the wall, her voice faint. You speak like a father would, she whispered. Elias did not answer, but his eyes softened. The battlefield was still a graveyard of machines and ash. But between them something living was born, a bond shaped not by blood but by brokenness. As the night deepened, the alien woman closed her eyes. Her shame had not left her, but it no longer drowned her. And for the first time in years, her tears did not fall in silence. They fell in the presence of someone who saw her not as shame but as a soul. A dangerous secret. The night dragged on, but Elias did not sleep. The alien woman sat close, her knees pulled against her chest. Her silver eyes stared into the darkness as if expecting shadows to come alive. Every sound of broken metal, every crackle of fire, made her flinch. Elias watched her, noticing how fear never left her face. It was not only shame she carried, it was something heavier, something hidden. At last Elias broke the silence. You keep looking over your shoulder, he said quietly. Who are you afraid of? The alien woman froze, her lips trembling. For a long time she did not answer, as if the words themselves could summon death. Finally she whispered, "My own people." Elias narrowed his eyes, confusion flashing across his scarred face. "Your people? Why would they hunt their own?" She shook her head slowly, gripping her arms tighter. "Because I am not only shame to them," she said, her voice heavy with dread. "I am danger. I am a wound they want to erase." Her words made Elias lean forward. "What do you mean?" He pressed, her silver eyes flickered with pain, as if she wanted to stay silent, but she had already said too much, and the weight inside her demanded to be released. "I was born with something I did not choose," she whispered. "An energy, raw and untamed, sleeping inside me. When I was young, it slipped out." Her voice shook. "It burned walls, shattered stone, frightened even my father. They told me it was corruption, that I was cursed." Her body trembled as memories clawed their way back. "They tried to train me to control it," she said. "But every time I failed, every time it burst without warning, they punished me harder." Her silver eyes filled with tears. "I became not only a daughter of shame, but a threat to their power." Elias felt his chest grow heavy. He had seen weapons, machines, even soldiers built to destroy. But this woman, broken and trembling, carried something far worse inside her. Not by choice, but by birth. "And now?" Elias asked, his voice low. She swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. "Now they want me gone, erased, so no one remembers my name." The words sank into the silence like stones into deep water. Elias looked at her scars, at her trembling hands. He understood now. The shame she carried was not hers alone. It was forced onto her by those who feared her, those who could not control what they did not understand. "Is that why you are here, hiding among ruins?" Elias asked. Her silver eyes met his, shimmering with despair. "They came for me," she whispered. "Hunters, sent by my father's counsel. I escaped. But I do not know for how long." She turned away, her voice cracking. "I should not have survived. Yet I did, and I do not know why." The air grew colder as the weight of her secret settled between them. Elias studied her carefully. Her shame was not weakness. It was survival against her own people. Her tears were not only sorrow, they were warnings of storms inside her. He spoke at last, his voice steady as stone. "You are not a curse," he said. "You are more than what they fear." Her breath caught, as if the words pierced through her despair. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. "Then let me be the first," Elias replied, his eyes unwavering. "You are alive, and that means you are meant for more than their chains." She trembled, torn between hope and disbelief. For so long she had believed her father's voice, the council's judgment, the hunter's blades. But this human soldier, a stranger, spoke to her like she was worth saving. Her lips quivered as another tear slipped free. "Why do you not fear me?" she asked softly. Elias did not flinch. "Because I have seen true monsters," he said. "And you are not one of them." The word struck her deeper than any weapon. Her shoulders shook as she tried to hold back the flood inside her. For years she had hidden her secret, swallowed her shame, silenced her power. But here, in the ruins, one human's voice cracked her chains. The night grew heavier, but her heart felt lighter. For the first time, she dared to believe her life was not only a mistake. Yet fear still lingered at the edge of her thoughts. She knew the hunters would not stop. She knew her secret would one day burst again. And when it did, Elias would see the truth. Would he still look at her as he did now? Or would he turn away like all the others? Her silver eyes closed, her body curling tighter. But the human's presence beside her was a shield against the dark. And though shame still lived inside her, hope, fragile but real, had begun to grow. Trust in the human. The dawn came slowly, stretching pale light across the broken battlefield. Elias stood guard while the alien woman rested against a wall. Her body was weak, her breaths uneven. But her eyes opened when she sensed him nearby. The ruins around them were quiet, but danger still pressed against the air. She looked at him with cautious eyes, unsure why he had not left her. Most would have abandoned her after hearing her secret. But he had stayed silent and steady like a shield. "You did not walk away," she whispered, her voice low. Elias turned his head slightly, his scar catching the morning light. "Why would I?" he asked simply. Her lips trembled as she lowered her gaze. "Because everyone else did," she said. "My own blood left me to be hunted. My people named me Danger. Even my father. Her words cracked, unable to finish. Elias remained silent, but his silence was not empty. It was strong. She studied him carefully. Every line of his face, every scar across his skin. He carried the look of a man who had lost much but still carried himself forward. It was different from the eyes of her people, who looked at her only with judgment. This human looked at her as if she was not shame, but something worth saving. Her chest tightened with a strange feeling she could not name. It frightened her almost as much as it comforted her. When she finally spoke again, her voice was soft. "You remind me of something I never had," she said. Elias glanced at her, waiting. She lowered her eyes, her silver hair sliding over her scars. "A father who stayed," she whispered. The word father slipped out like a wound reopening. She caught her breath, shame flooding her face. "I should not have said that," she muttered, curling in on herself. But Elias did not scold her. He did not turn away. Instead, he crouched down to her level, his voice calm. "You have nothing to be ashamed of," he said. Her eyes widened, silver tears shining again. "Even after what I told you? Even after knowing what I carry?" she asked. Elias's voice was steady as stone. "Especially after knowing," he replied. The words sank deep into her chest. She had expected rejection, disgust, fear. But instead he gave her acceptance. It was something she had never known, and it broke through the walls she had built to protect herself. Slowly, she lifted her hand, trembling. Her fingers brushed the scar on her cheek as if asking if he truly saw her. Her voice shook. "You do not fear me, you do not hate me, why?" Elias held her gaze. "Because I see more than the curse they named you," he said. "I see someone who has survived more than most could bear. And that is strength." Her breath hitched. Her tears fell again, but this time they were not only of shame. They carried something softer, lighter, fragile like hope, she whispered. "You speak as if I am worth something." "You are," Elias answered. And the firmness in his voice left no room for doubt. The alien woman pressed her forehead against her knees. Overwhelmed for the first time in years, she did not feel alone. The word dad echoed in her mind, not as an accident, but as a truth she wished could be real. She had been denied love by her father, denied care by her people, yet this human stranger gave her both without asking for anything. Her tears fell harder, but they no longer drowned her. They cleansed the weight of her shame. Even if only for a moment when the sun rose higher, Elias offered her water and a ration pack. She hesitated, then took it carefully, her hands brushing his. The touch was brief, but it startled her. It felt safe, it felt steady. It felt like the presence she had searched for all her life. Her silver eyes met his, and for once she did not look away, she whispered again. But this time her voice was stronger. "So beautiful." "Dad?" Elias's chest tightened. His throat heavy, he did not know how to answer. But he did not need to. The way she looked at him said everything. She did not see him as a soldier. She saw him as the father she had been denied, and in her brokenness, she gave him a role he never thought he would have, a role he silently accepted without words, without protest. The bond between them grew in that fragile dawn. It was not bound by blood, not forged by duty. It was shaped by pain, by survival, by the need for connection. And though the world outside still hunted her, and though danger still crept in the shadows of the ruins, for the first time she trusted someone, and that trust gave her the strength to breathe again. The enemy strikes, the peace of dawn, did not last long. The battlefield was quiet, but silence often hides danger. Elias felt it first, the hairs on the back of his neck rising. He had been a soldier long enough to know when death was near. The alien woman noticed his sudden stillness, her silver eyes widening. "What is it?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Elias raised his hand for silence, listening. At first there was nothing, only the crackle of broken fires and the groan of ruins. Then, faint but sharp, came the sound of metal boots striking stone. Not one pair, but many, moving with purpose. Elias's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. "They've found us," he muttered. The alien woman froze, her body shaking violently. No, not them, not now," she whispered in terror. Her silver hair fell across her face as she tried to make herself small. "They won't stop until I'm dead." Elias moved quickly, checking his weapon, his voice steady. "Hunters?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. She nodded, unable to breathe properly. "They are my father's blades," she whispered, silent, merciless. "They never miss." Her words were choked with fear, Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, firm and grounding. "Stay behind me," he ordered. She looked at him in disbelief, her lips parting. You would stand against them for me?" Elias's scarred face hardened, his voice carrying the weight of truth. "I will not leave you." The sound of boots grew louder, closer. Shadows stretched across the broken walls as the hunters spread out. Their armor was black and sharp, their helmets glowing with faint red lights. They moved with perfect silence, no wasted step, no hesitation. Elias positioned himself between them and the woman. The enemy fanned out, their weapons humming with deadly energy. One raised his hand, signaling the others. The hunt had begun. The alien woman's breath came in fast gasps. Her tears returned, not of shame this time, but of raw fear. She clutched her arms, whispering, "They will kill you if you stay, please." "Leave me, save yourself." Elias did not move, his stance unshaken. "I've faced worse than death," he said. "You are not alone anymore." The hunters advanced, their steps slow, calculated. Their leader spoke, his voice cold and metallic. "Return the traitor to us, human. And you may live." Elias did not flinch, his voice like iron. "She is under my protection." The hunters tilted their heads, confusion flickering for only a moment. Then the leader's voice came again, sharper. "Then you will die with her." The first shot came without warning. A beam of burning light sliced through the air. Elias moved quickly, dragging the alien woman behind a collapsed wall. The stone cracked under the blast, dust clouding the air. The woman covered her head. Trembling, Elias returned fire, his weapon barking with thunder. The hunters scattered. Moving like shadows across the ruins, the battle was chaos. Blasts of light tearing through the broken structures. Elias fought with precision, every shot placed with the skill of a soldier who had survived countless wars. But there were too many, and they moved with deadly coordination. The alien woman gripped the stone, her tears falling, her voice broke in a whisper. "He will die because of me." Her body shook as her hidden power stirred. She pressed her hands against the ground, trying to hold it back, but fear made it rise, stronger, hotter, burning inside her chest. Another blast shook the ruins, sending debris crashing around them. Elias shielded her with his own body, his arm bleeding from a near miss. He gritted his teeth but did not step away. Her silver eyes widened as she saw the blood. "You are hurt because of me," she cried. Elias shook his head, his voice harsh but steady. "No, I am alive because of you. You gave me something worth protecting." Her breath caught, her tears falling faster for the first time. Someone fought not to use her, not to destroy her, but to save her. Her power stirred again, stronger, boiling beneath her skin. Her shame told her to bury it, her fear told her to run. But Elias's words lit something else inside her, courage. The hunters regrouped, surrounding them from three sides. Their leader raised his weapon, aiming straight at Elias. The alien woman's heart pounded. Her hands shook as light sparked between her fingers. Her voice trembled. "No more, not again." The air vibrated with energy, her hidden power rising against her will. Elias looked at her, his voice firm. "Do not fear what you are. Use it." Her tears blurred her vision, but his words pierced through the storm. The hunters fired. The blasts screamed through the air, and in that moment, the alien woman's power exploded, the power of tears. The air cracked like thunder as the alien woman's power burst free. A wave of silver light exploded from her body, shaking the ruins. The ground trembled, broken walls collapsing under the force. The hunters staggered, their black armor sparking as the energy slammed into them. Their weapons flew from their hands. Glowing hot before shattering into dust, Elias shielded his eyes, his body pressed against the shock wave. The air burned around him, but he did not move away from her. He stayed close, guarding her even as her power roared out like a storm. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent again. Hunters lay scattered, groaning, some motionless. The ruins smoked, cracks running through stone as if struck by lightning. The alien woman fell to her knees, gasping for breath. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, tears running down her face. Her hands shook, blue skin streaked with the energy that still hummed inside her. I cannot stop it," she whispered in fear. Her voice broke as she clutched her chest. "They were right. I am a curse." Elias moved quickly, grabbing her shoulders, his eyes locked on hers, firm and steady. "Listen to me," he said, his voice sharp with command. "You are not a curse. Do you hear me?" Her silver eyes flickered with panic, her breath fast and shallow. I destroyed everything. I lost control. If you stay, you will die because of me. But Elias's voice cut through her despair like steel. I am still here, am I not? I am not dead and I will not leave. Her tears fell harder, her voice trembling. No one has ever stayed after seeing this. Not even my father. Elias's hand tightened on her shoulder. Then let me be the first, he said firmly. You are not alone anymore, and you will not face this power alone. The hunters groaned as they tried to rise again. Their leader staggered to his feet, his armor cracked and burning. His voice rasped through his broken helmet. You see now, human. She is a danger even to you. Elias turned sharply, raising his weapon with one hand. No, she is not the danger, he growled. You are. He fired. His shot striking the leader square in the chest, the hunter fell back, smoke pouring from his armor. The rest hesitated, fear flashing in their glowing eyes. They had seen her power, and for the first time, they doubted their mission. The alien woman trembled, still on her knees. Her hands glowed faintly with the remnants of energy. She stared at them in horror, whispering, This is what I am, destruction, ruin. A monster. Elias knelt in front of her, his scarred face steady. No, he said, his voice softer now. This is what you are, alive, strong, and fighting to survive. Her tears spilled freely, blurring her vision. But I almost hurt you, she cried. You didn't, Elias replied, his hand gently lifting her chin so her eyes met his. And even if you had, I would still be here. His voice was unwavering, like a wall that could not be broken. Her lips quivered as she stared at him. The word slipped out again, fragile but full of meaning. Dad. The hunters pulled back slowly, regrouping in the shadows. They did not attack again, not yet. They had seen the storm inside her, and they feared it, but Elias knew they would return. Stronger, more prepared. He turned back to her, determination burning in his eyes. We will move before they recover, he said. You are not safe here, and I will not let them take you. She looked at him, her voice trembling. Why? Why do you protect me, when you could walk away and live? Elias's expression softened, but his words were firm. Because you deserve to be seen for what you are, not for what they call you. You are not shame, you are not a curse. You are my responsibility now. Her chest tightened, her tears falling again. No one had ever spoken for her like this. No one had ever stood between her and death without asking for something in return. For the first time, she felt not like a burden, but like someone who mattered. The word returned to her lips, unbidden but true. So beautiful. Dad, she whispered again, her voice breaking. But this time the tears that followed were not only of shame. They were tears of release, of being seen, of being accepted. Elias helped her to her feet, steadying her trembling frame. The ruins around them still smoked. The hunters still lingered. But for the first time since she had fled her people, she felt that she was not running alone. Her shame had turned to tears, and her tears had given her strength. The storm inside her had not destroyed her. It had revealed her, and with Elias beside her, she dared to believe she could face what was coming. The beautiful truth. The ruins were quiet after the storm of battle. The hunters had pulled back, their shadows swallowed by the broken city. But Elias knew they would return, stronger and more determined. He looked at the alien woman, still trembling, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the pale light. She stood close to him, clutching her arms, her body weak but her spirit still burning. We cannot stay here, Elias said firmly. His voice carried the weight of command, the same voice that had led men into fire and pulled them back alive. She nodded slowly, her voice soft. They will come again. They never stop. Her lips trembled as the memory of her hunters clawed at her. But then she looked at Elias, and for the first time her voice did not break. If you stay, I will fight beside you. Her words surprised even herself. For so long she had seen her power only as a curse, but now she spoke of using it, not to destroy herself but to protect. Elias studied her carefully, his scarred face unreadable. Then he nodded, a small but powerful gesture. You are stronger than you believe, he said. Her silver eyes shone, her tears threatening to fall again. But this time she did not hide them. They moved together through the ruins, searching for safer ground. The sky above turned darker, heavy with storm clouds. Each step echoed with the weight of their journey. The alien woman walked slower, her body still weak. But Elias never rushed her, his pace steady, his eyes always scanning for danger. He had fought beside many soldiers in his life, but none like her. None who carried such sorrow and such light together. When they finally stopped beneath the shadow of a broken tower, she sank to the ground exhausted. Elias sat beside her, his weapon resting across his knees. The silence between them was not heavy this time. It was calm, almost gentle. Like the quiet before a sunrise, she turned her head, her silver hair falling across her scarred cheek. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. "Why do you not see me as they do?" Elias looked at her, his eyes steady. "Because I see the truth," he answered. "They saw weakness. But I see someone who survived what would have broken others. They saw shame. But I see courage in every step you take. They saw a curse. But I see beauty." Her breath caught, her chest tightening. No one had ever spoken such words to her. Her people had called her disgrace, her father had called her failure. But this human, scarred and weary from war, called her beautiful. Tears welled in her silver eyes. Falling slowly down her cheeks, she covered her face, whispering through the sobs, "So beautiful." "Dad." Elias felt the weight of the words, heavier than any weapon he had carried. He had no children, no family left. War had taken them all, leaving him with nothing but scars and silence. But here, in the ruins of a dying world, someone had given him back what he thought was lost. She had given him a name, a role, a bond deeper than blood, and he accepted it without hesitation. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder, his voice steady. "You are my daughter now, not by blood, but by choice." Her tears fell harder, but they were no longer poisoned with shame. They were pure, filled with a fragile happiness she had never known. She leaned against him, trembling, but no longer alone. For the first time in her life, she felt safe, truly safe. The storm inside her had not vanished, but now she had someone who would face it with her. The night grew darker, the storm clouds rumbling above, but inside the broken tower there was light, not from fire, not from her dangerous power, but from the bond between a broken soldier and a lost daughter. They had found each other in ruins and in each other. They found the strength to rise again. Elias tightened his grip on his weapon, his eyes scanning the horizon. The hunters would return, he knew it, but he also knew he would be ready, not just for himself but for her, for the daughter who had been told she was shame, for the woman who had been hunted, cursed and broken, but who now stood beside him. "Seen and accepted," she whispered again, her voice faint but filled with truth. "So beautiful, Dad." And this time her tears were not of sorrow. They were of release, of healing, of hope. Elias closed his eyes briefly, letting the words settle into his heart. For the first time in years, he did not feel empty. He felt whole, because she had given him something no war could ever take. And together, in the ruins of a battlefield, a soldier and an alien woman began a new story, one not written in shame but in trust, in tears, and in love.